Welcome to the video lecture on characteristics of life. All right, so the whole goal of this lecture is to really categorize what life is. You know, what characteristics must a object possess if it's to be considered alive. Okay, so we're going to go through all of them. I'm going to give you examples, but technically scientists say that all of these characteristics must be met if the organism is considered alive. So first thing is all organisms have cellular structure, or all living things are made of cells. So that could be one cell or that could be many cells, but cellular structure is a must if you're considered a living thing. Second thing is the ability to reproduce. All living things should be able to reproduce. If you can't reproduce, you're not considered living. And that means reproduce on your own or with the help of another organisms that's the same species as you. All right. Now, viruses technically are not considered living because although they can reproduce, they need the help of a host cell, which is not the same organism. Okay. Third thing is all living things must obtain and use energy. And when we say the word use energy, we really mean metabolism. All right. So how we use energy is basically what the definition of metabolism is. Okay. So you can see all sorts of different ways that organisms can obtain energy and how they use energy. But if you're considered a living thing, you must use energy. You must need energy in some way. Third thing is all living things will maintain a constant internal environment, and that's basically what we define as homeostasis. All right, so the term homeostasis will be used a lot in this class, and it does basically mean you're keeping your internal body at a stable, well-maintained environment. Okay, so you can see there's all sorts of things that your body does to make sure that it's maintained. Sweating is one thing. I know we don't like to sweat, but sweating actually cools us off when our body overheats. So the process of sweating maintains that normal temperature. All right. There's a toilet there, but really what I wanted to get from that is, if we drink too much liquid, our body will maintain a stable internal balance by releasing our excess liquids in the form of urine, or possibly in the form of feces, all right, depending on what you're talking about. Beyond humans, there's a dog pants when it gets hot. That's just another way that organisms can maintain a constant internal temperature. There's a whole bunch of other examples if you go online and just search homeostasis. I didn't want to go into too much detail because I wanted to let you kind of search this yourself. But there's a whole bunch. Okay. Number 5 is heredity, which means that all living things should be able to pass on their traits to their offspring. And we do this in the form of two molecules. DNA you're probably really familiar with. You've seen it before. And then there's another molecule called RNA, which is also another nucleic acid. And it does actually transfer or communicate genes within the molecules. Okay, so all living things should have some form of DNA or RNA within their bodies that they could pass on to the offspring that they create. Number 6, evolution. All living things. Now, this is as a group, not as an individual. So, as a population of a species, all living things should be able to change over time, which we term evolution. Okay, so you can see the examples here. There's Darwin's finches, and if you ever studied a little bit more about Darwin, he looked at the finches of the Galapagos Island, and he noticed that they all had different types of beak shapes. And once we get into our evolution, you'll realize why that is. All right, and there's kind of the evolution of modern Homo sapiens and where they've kind of come from. But the point being is that all living things should be able to change over time or have the ability to change over time. And that is as a group, not as an individual. Like no one single organism is going to evolve. That doesn't happen. That's not evolution. Seventh thing, and the last characteristic of living things is called interdependence. And basically what this means is that if you're a living thing, you have to rely on other living things in this world. All right, you must interact with them. certain things like dependence on food, on resources, all sorts of things. If you are solely reliant on your own self, you wouldn't be considered a living thing. Okay, and all living things on this planet rely on some form of other living thing. Okay, so you can see right there, that is what we call a food web. I'm sure you've seen them before, or at least drawn them, and it's just kind of showing you that interconnectance, that interdependence that the squirrel has on the tree, and the deer has on the tree, and the rabbit and the hawk, and it's all connected, and that's what the whole idea of this characteristic of interdependence is. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this lecture. What I have on your worksheet on the other side, make sure you look at the back, is I want you to actually look up other examples besides what I've given you, or go into a little bit more detail of what the example is. So list all 7 characteristics of life and then give me your own example.